Hi everyone, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you all about a little thing I like to call grammar. Now I can be a little bit of a grammar Nazi every once in a while. I don't necessarily nitpick everything I see, and oh my goodness gracious could I go on about grammar for a really long time. But one of the main things about grammar that bugs me is when you use it incorrectly but very pretentiously. If you use words that are super similar in similar situations, okay, so two, and two, right? So there's TWO. Most people use that correctly. That's the number. Most people don't mix that up. But then there's TO and then there's TOO. TO is the most common. I'm going to the store. Who are you talking to? Yeah. But then there's TOO. And a lot of people don't know when to use this, so they just use TO, which is kind of annoying. You should know what TOO is. Most of the time, you could replace to with the word also. Oh, are you going to? Are you going also? You know. So if you're supposed to use the word to for something a little more abstract, the air was too cold, that is a situation where you would use TOO. But if you use TO, that's okay. For some reason, that doesn't bother me, but it bothers the heck out of me when you're supposed to use TO and you use TOO, because TOO is the more complicated one, so if you're just injecting that where you don't know where it goes and you don't really understand the word and you're just throwing it in there because you think, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be the fancy word, and either way, I'll sound fancy. No, you're trying to be pretentious when you don't really know. Stop it. Why does that bother me so much? Why am I so passionate about that? I don't know. Please tell me I'm not alone. There's gotta be other people. Here's another example. Who and whom. First of all, we don't really use whom a lot, because most people don't know how to use it. Who is for the subject of the sentence, and whom is for the object of the sentence. Now, most people don't sit there and analyze, what is the object and what is the subject of my sentence? So therefore, you're gonna say whatever comes naturally. And since we hear who most of the time, who just seems more natural, and it just seems really pretentious to use the word whom. And you know why? Because it is. And it's not necessarily bad to sound pretentious with your grammar, as long as you're being correct. I guess that's fine. I can handle that. I think most people can handle that. You're using grammar correctly. Kudos, because you understand grammar and you're using it. Yay, using the language correctly to convey ideas and blah. And that's why I don't mind if you use the common word where you're supposed to use the big fancy word, and not whom is a big fancy word, but it kind of is. It's not big, but it is fancy. If you use the word that's most commonly used to express that idea, that's fine. But if you use a word that's more abstract to express your idea, you're just failing epically at expressing that idea. That's why. So if you were supposed to use the word whom, okay, you're asking to who were you speaking? You're supposed to use whom. But if you say who, that's fine. That's what we more commonly use, and people can understand what you're saying, and yeah. But if you're supposed to use the word who, and you don't use who, there is no excuse. It's not oh, I didn't understand. No, there's no excuse. If you say, okay, who did that? Who did that? He did that. Okay, he is the subject because he is performing the action. He's not having the action performed on him. He did it. You'd use who. If you said whom did that, first of all, you sound weird. That just sounds weird. And it sounds weird because it's wrong. It's just wrong. That bothers me. More than it should. A lot more than it should. But basically, don't try to just interject things. Because language is all about expressing ideas in a way that people will understand you. And if you're just trying to be pretentious with the words that you use, that's the idea you're going to convey, not whatever you are actually talking about. People aren't going to think, who did do that? No, they're not going to think about what you're talking anymore. Now they're going to think, why is she such a... That's what they're gonna think. That's what they're gonna ask themselves. Why is she so stuck up with her words? Why can't she just use the normal colloquialisms? So, yeah, just, it's not that hard, people. Use the words you know. And if you want to use big words, just make sure you're doing it right. Otherwise, it's not necessary. Eh.